Hells Angels members accused of that shooting on Sunday that injured 7 stood in front of a judge today.
And now, months later, police say they have arrested several people tied to the Hells Angels.
The Hells Angels don't have to actively recruit members. They want people that bring them value.
When you hear Hells Angels, you probably think of roaring motorcycles, leather jackets, and a brotherhood unlike any other. But behind the image lies something much darker. The Hells Angels aren't just a biker club. They're one of the most powerful and feared outlaw motorcycle gangs in the world. And in some cities, they don't just ride through, they own the streets. From North America to Europe, these are 10 cities where the Hells Angels call the shots. But here's the real question. Should you even set foot in these places? Let's find out. Hells Angels establish a deep and formidable presence since the 1970s. The Montreal gangs has grown to approximately 180 members, making it a significant force in Canadian organized crime. Known for their strategic alliances and ruthless tactics, the Hells Angels dominate the drug trade and extortion rackets, extending their influence beyond city limits. Despite law enforcement crackdowns, their annual Canada run continues to draw bikers from across North America. Montreal is the most violent battleground for the Hells Angels outside the U.S. Their war with rival biker gangs has led to bombings, assassinations, and full-scale turf wars. The city's underworld is practically controlled by them, making it one of the most dangerous places for anyone looking to cross the gang. If you're just a tourist, you'll be fine. Just don't get caught in the crossfire. Established in the 1970s, the Amsterdam chapter boasts around 230 members. The Hells Angels' ability to adapt and infiltrate both legal and illegal economies underscores their resilience. Their annual bike show showcases not just motorcycles, but also their influence over Amsterdam's criminal underworld, where their presence remains deeply entrenched. Amsterdam might be famous for its canals and coffee shops, but it also has a dark side. The Hells Angels have dominated the Dutch underworld for decades, running drug smuggling operations and controlling parts of the city's nightlife. The Dutch government has tried to ban the gang, but the Angels are deeply entrenched. If you visit, you might not notice them, but they're always there, watching. If you think the Hells Angels are just an American gang, think again. Vancouver is one of their strongest international hubs, with multiple chapters controlling the city's underworld. The club has been linked to drug trafficking, money laundering, and violent turf wars. But here's the kicker. Vancouver is still one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Just don't take fearless moves and go poking around the wrong bars or asking the wrong questions. Speaking of fearless moves, why don't you hit that subscribe button? Because we're just getting started, and the next city might shock you. New York has long been a battleground for different criminal organizations, but the Hells Angels have carved out their own piece of the empire. Their clubhouse in the East Village has been standing for decades, even as the city around it changes. Since the 1960s, the NYC chapter, with approximately 700 members, has been a formidable force on the East Coast. Their East Village clubhouse symbolizes defiance against law enforcement scrutiny. High-profile arrests in 2016 for drug and weapons charges briefly disrupted their operations but failed to dismantle their core. Balancing public image with criminal enterprise, the Hells Angels in NYC navigate a complex terrain. Their Big Apple run attracts bikers globally, reaffirming their stronghold in New York City's underworld. Despite crackdowns, they remain a force in the city's underground world. What makes NYC different is that the gang operates under the radar here, preferring to keep a low profile. But that doesn't mean they aren't dangerous. Boston, steeped in American history and Hells Angels lore. Since the 1960s, the Boston chapter, with around 400 members, navigates a dual existence of public image and underground influence. Infamous for the 1974 Charlestown shootout, they've infiltrated major projects like the Big Dig, showcasing their strategic prowess. Blending charity work with covert criminal activities, the Hells Angels in Boston maintain a complex reputation. Despite law enforcement scrutiny, their stronghold in Boston remains unshaken. a testament to their enduring power and impact on the city's underworld. Even in a city as historic as London, the Hells Angels have left their mark. The club expanded into the UK in the 1960s, and today, they run a powerful network of crime across the country. What's interesting is how the gang operates in London, less visible, but just as deadly. Many of their members are involved in organized crime, and law enforcement is constantly watching. Quebec City is home to one of the Hells Angels' most formidable chapters. Since the 1990s, this chapter has grown to around 620 members, embedding itself deeply into the local criminal landscape. The Hells Angels here are heavily involved in the drug trade and money laundering, extending their influence throughout the province. The Quebec Biker War, which raged throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, cemented their reputation. This violent conflict with rival gangs, primarily the Rock Machine, resulted in numerous casualties and highlighted the Hells Angels' ruthlessness and determination to dominate Quebec's criminal underworld. The annual Quebec Run is a striking testament to their power, attracting bikers from across Canada and transforming the city into a hub of roaring engines and defiant unity. If you're not affiliated, you don't belong. It's as simple as that. San Francisco, where counterculture meets criminal enterprise in the Hells Angels Stronghold. Established in the 1950s, the San Francisco chapter, with around 850 members, has left an indelible mark on the Bay Area's landscape. Their legacy includes the infamous 1969 Altamont Free Concert disaster, highlighting their influence over local events. Despite law enforcement crackdowns, their presence in San Francisco remains pervasive. The 2007 murder of a rival gang member underscored their brutal tactics. The Hells Angels' annual Frisco Run attracts bikers worldwide. Also, some neighborhoods belong to the Angels, and outsiders are not welcome. Germany has a strict stance on organized crime, but that hasn't stopped the Hells Angels from taking over parts of Hamburg. The city is a major hub for international smuggling, and the gang has capitalized on it. In some areas, they are the law. Police raids are common, but the gang always bounces back, making Hamburg one of the most biker-controlled cities in Europe. Oakland is more than just home to the Hells Angels. It's their birthplace. Founded here in 1957, this chapter is the mother club, meaning it holds more power than any other in the world. The gang has deep roots in the city, running everything from illegal gambling to drug operations. Deeply embedded in Oakland's political and criminal fabric, the Hells Angels here host annual events that draw bikers from around the globe. Oakland stands as a testament to their enduring power, resilience, and dominance in the world of motorcycle clubs. This isn't surprising. The surprising part is that Oakland is actually one of the safest places for bikers. Why? Because no one wants to cross the Hells Angels on their own turf. So, should you visit these cities? If you're just passing through, you'll probably be fine. But if you start asking too many questions or step into the wrong places, let's just say, the Hells Angels don't believe in second chances. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think outlaw biker gangs like the Hells Angels still have power, or is their influence fading? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the world's most feared organizations, don't forget to like and subscribe. Because here at Herloz Discovery, we uncover the world's darkest secrets one story at a time.